as we are loaded in to 2,000 atmospheres. Top right-hand corner, it's our red Protoss player representing Psystorm Gaming. This is Gerald.
His opponents in the blue, also from Poland, from playing for team Kaisi Gaming. It is Spirit.
All right, Gerald getting across here, trying to come up with at least a little bit of distraction using the captain here to pull another SCV off him. He's dealing a decent amount of damage. He might double backing around. I don't think he's going to get the full kill, though. So, ultimately, he's going to be good scouting information, but should be a nice little slow build-up here as both players appear to be staying pretty stock standard, at least for right now.
Spirit is one of those players that I always think of as being terrifying because I had the misfortune of, back when I was an active pro player, beating him on the ladder many times, and let me tell you, this guy is something else. When you actually face him, sometimes just watching him play does not do justice to how it feels to actually play against the macro beast that he is. But yeah, he used to be known as Soul. And in this very group here that we have at DreamHack, there is another player from France called Soul Spirit.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, this guy's trolling us. This guy renamed from Soul to Spirit. There's a Soul Spirit in the group. What is this?
Oh, that would be... It would be interesting if, like, Spirit wanted to make his name, like, Spirit parentheses Soul, so that way people know, like, oh, I used to be Soul. And Spirit Soul against Soul Spirit. God bless the casters that have to cast that game, Todd. I'm glad it's not us.
Trust me, there's been some worse ones, for sure. Some of those nicknames. Oh. He's opening with a standard opener here with the command center, went into the gas quickly, reactor, then adds the factory. For a very long time, and to be honest, up to this day, I feel like I never got rid of this image from him. Well, actually, there's a recall here forced early on the one adept to defend against the Reaper. We're very well done by Spirit to be able to force that. For a very long time, I always associated Spirit with a quick third command center guy, because he would just do it every game. You would know it, and sometimes you would even just blind counter it and try and punish him. He still would go for it. Nowadays, it seems like he's mixing in a lot more like standard builds and not going for that nearly as much.
Well, it seems to be, very similar to what we saw in Euthermal's build-up here, getting into Widowmine drop. But I mean, that's pretty normal here for TVP. The Widowmine Medevac combo just ends up being a really strong way to open up this game and kind of knock your opponent's focus down just a little bit. Although this is going to be a little bit more so than that. Spirit going to get up in here with a Hellion and a Reaper. That's going to be able to pick off a few workers, but a few of those SCVs getting picked off on the opposite side of the map as well. So it's a 2-for-2 trade. Suddenly now a little bit worse here for Gerald, as he is going to toss down 5, but I mean, the battle's happening on both sides. I think these Marines will finally be able to clean things up.
The Spirit's still finding some damage though here with the 6 probes going down when Reaper still being annoying. He also prevented mining time. It's not just about the pure kills, but the Oracle on the other side, Spirit's reacting as quick as he can, but perhaps still a little late here. He's losing some more SCVs. And this is... Today we've seen a lot of series where it's not safe to be a worker, that is for sure.
No, and it's not safe to like have any sort of relaxing moment as you're just trying to do your macro, because it seems like the last 3 series has just been nothing but relentless chaos, diving in and out and then running in some additional units and making things as chaotic as possible to keep your opponent off balance. But yeah, you're absolutely right. If you signed up to be on the mineral mining front in either one of these campaigns, like, it's not going to end well for you.
Absolutely. Looking at the records, actually, between the two, they've played so many series against one another. They've played 84 series lifetime against one another. That is so much. Almost reminds me of like Muay Thai, you know, where like fighters just like fight every other day, regardless of damage taken and stuff. But would you care to guess how many of the series were won by Gerald?
Let's say 60% of them.
Actually, it's almost 80% win rate for Spirits.
Oh,
so he's
wow.
been doing way better against Gerald, who definitely has struggled in this matchup in the past, but not that long ago, actually. He was able to win. That was just last month. I mean, I guess with the amount that they meet one another, it makes sense also. Like, Gerald was able to win one of those series. But yeah, overall, it's definitely Spirit that has had the number of Gerald so far up in the past.
Well, I will sit here and feel shame for my uninformed position.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's all good.
If you had asked me out of the blue, I would have made worse.
I'm just more in touch with like the NA scene, Todd. That's why. Yeah.
Oh, I'll quiz you later.
Oh God, no. Oh, these Phoenix are starting to be a little bit annoying here. Picking up a few workers. Did delay the command center just by a little bit. I mean, just like little bits here and there. But I think it's important to know, like, not to oversimplify, but sometimes it can be very, very impactful if little tiny things throughout the course of the game build up. So a couple of seconds here, one worker there, can all have a major impact. So there's a reason why so much micro gets placed into, well, why would he dive in so much for just one worker? Well, that could be the worker that tips the game for Gerald at this point. But it seems like Spirit, oh no, where did this come from? This stasis ward so dangerously close to these Marines. Had that connected, that would have been a dangerous moment for Spirit. But instead, he's just going to have to wait a couple minutes for that danger. Proxy Gateway coming up here, and there's already 5 Zealots warped in.
He's trying to bait him into the stasis ward with his bio, and then he can send the Zealots to kill SCVs on the third base. If that were to happen. Look at this. He's picking off units on purpose to try and force the bio to chase those Phoenixes. Maybe he should have made the stasis a bit more to the left, because that would have worked really well. But Gerald is already warping across the map, and that's one of the quickest fourth base I've seen in a while as well. I gotta say, he's in a great spot, I feel like, right now. 64 walkers to 48.
Ooh. Okay, he did know that was there and had pre-split a couple of Marines off, so that actually ends up really going well for Gerald, and that is going to force him to pull the trigger on this run by here. That is a ton of units, Todd. That's like almost 14 Zealots here on the ground, just putting things forward here. 10 workers end up going down as a result of it as well. And you said it yourself, there's the additional workers, there are the fourth base coming down, and the response here on the opposite side of the map for Spirit is not going to be as impactful.
Yeah, the Phoenix is on the other side with the great defense against the Widowmine draw, but Spirit is keeping up in supply for now, but against a full base, full saturation Protoss, he's gonna start falling further and further behind very quickly, so it's getting very dangerous. We have Storm also about to finish already. That was so fast. And Gerald's counter-attacking capability is going to be huge here immediately behind this defense that he's going to get here in a few seconds. I'm worried for Spirit here in this game one.
Yeah, I am as well. I mean, this is not nearly the kind of damage that he needs to get here. Only 3 probes for the sacrifice of 2 medevacs. The Marines, they're not negligible, but they're definitely not as valuable. Now, this could find a bit more damage, but a great pull here by Gerald. That's going to be another medevac that gets picked off. These units are being well protected. There's additional medevacs coming across the map. Spirit's decided, you know what? I'm just going to send little bits everywhere and hope that you slowly fall apart. But there's no main army to really reinforce all of that damage. So a lot of it feels like he's hoping to get lucky.
Yeah, Spirit made a Ghost Academy, but he hasn't queued up a single Ghost yet. And now there is High Templars with enough energy for Storms, moving across the map very slowly, though. On the right-hand side here, they're in the middle of the map. The rest of the army engages first. Those High Templars, like the potential damage that they're going to do is just insane against this little bio. Gerald with a huge supply lead here, getting on top of the third base. SCVs are going to start falling left and right. Phoenixes come back. The counter drop in his main base is doing a lot of damage. And Spirit's just going to leave the game. Feels like he cannot hold against this attack. Gerald wins game number 1.
Yeah, this was just this was a very good execution of just overwhelming your opponent there at his base. The Zealots were able to completely surround all of the Marines that were coming out to reinforce. And at that point, I mean, there was no protecting the third base. All of the workers got pulled off. The Zealots that were pressuring the third reinforced. I mean, it was nothing but damage coming out for for Spirit, and that forced him to tap out here, and that puts him, I guess, it puts him on the back foot, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah. This series so far, or at least the first game, looked like Gerald had over 60% chance to win it, Rushy. So you were onto something. There you go. You were absolutely right. Well done.
Oh, you are a gentleman and a scholar. Thanks for bringing me back on that one.
Honestly, I'm very impressed. Like that, a 6-minute fourth Nexus. I was like, really? Like he's gonna be able to get away with this? Yes, he was. And like this forward pylon, I feel like that was kind of lacking in some of the earlier series that we saw. The counter aggression, you know, like the units getting on the other side of the map early. He had a very precise game plan. The stasis trap didn't quite work like he wanted it to, but it was enough to bring the units out of position into the expansion.
Yeah. And it was enough to be able to spread him far enough apart. I liked the idea of all of the recurring drops, but it felt like it just needed that main army. I mean, he had units back at home. I think he was still very worried about counter pressure coming and really just obviously just knocking him down. But that might have been one of the decisive parts of that game, was he had to play far back into his base. He allowed the Protoss player to get across the map and to control that pressure, control the tempo, if you will, a little music term. And that was exactly what Spirit needed. But to your point, the proxy kind of went unscouted. I think that ended up being a very useful tool there. So in game number 2, Spirit's going to have to find a way to keep maybe a bit of a stronger force out on the map that's going to prevent Gerald from feeling so comfortable to be across the map all the time.
The thing about this type of tournament is that you get, you know, multiple days to prepare for each specific match. And because of that, you can come in really prepared. And it does feel to me like Gerald is coming super prepared here for this match so far. Like his execution in game 1, the whole game plan was beautiful. It was perfectly executed. The thing is, he's facing someone that he's lost to a lot in the past that still should be the favorite. Now he needs to close things out somehow. One map win, you know, it's only as good as one single map win, which is irrelevant in a series if that's the only thing that you win. So let's see if Gerald can do it here in map 2, or maybe even map 3.
Yeah, let's get into it. All right, I'll go top. I'll go bottom left here. The blue Terran player spawning in on Hardwire, playing for Kitesy Gaming. This is Spirit.
The opponent in the reds, also from Poland, playing for Team Storm Gaming. It is Gerald. Are you a Witcher fan?
Ooh, I do like me some Witcher. I've seen both of the seasons of that so far.
Last one was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, what was it? I watched it with a friend who got me into like the Game of Thrones series, and then was super critical as the seasons went on. And the thing that he liked and that I liked about The Witcher as well is it felt like it developed the way that everybody wanted Game of Thrones to develop as it went along. So I think the characters are compelling, and it's just super fun. I will say though that I haven't played the games to the extent where like I know a lot of like the backstory and the lore behind it. So I'm definitely just a show watcher for the most part.
Oh, I've never played the games. It's the only games I play is StarCraft and Warcraft.
fair, true.
I barely play anything else ever. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, so I don't know anything about the lore, but I still enjoyed the show. I mean, last season could have used more Yennefer, but other than that, it was pretty good.
That's fair. I think you could say that about like any season going forward. Just more. Give us more.
Yeah.
I do have to say though, since this game is kind of boiling up in a slow fashion, like it has been a treat. Like, keep an eye on the stream chat just because I've got a system open to watch things. But like, it has been a treat to see so much Todd love today, guys. Like, isn't this wonderful to have Todd casting today? I'm absolutely, and I told him this before we started, like, absolutely just beside myself that I get the opportunity to work with somebody who is so well respected and revered in the StarCraft community and Warcraft 3 nonetheless. So it's nice to see the people in the chat also feeling the same way, but we're definitely glad to have you here today, Todd.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It is a pleasure to cast with you as well. I'm glad to make your acquaintance on this beautiful day filled with StarCraft action.
Makes me happy. We do have a Twilight Council coming in, so will probably see some more of that Blink Stalker timing going forward. It's possible, like, I mean, Gerald feels really confident from game number 1. I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of wind up into something a bit more aggressive, maybe get an observer across the map or use a hallucinated Phoenix and try and take advantage of this giant ledge here on Hardwire.
Yeah, Gerald actually went for a fairly quick scout this game. I was wondering, like, what was up with that? I guess he wanted to know exactly what opener it was from Spirit, so he can then decide what he does himself. And his choice so far is to go into Blink. We don't have the additional gateways. They should be coming now, around the expansion, actually. Perhaps 2 additional of them. Yeah, there it is. Oh, actually, no, it's a Robo. Okay, so just the 2 gates and 1 Robo. And I find it fascinating, by the way, that there is these move outs with, like, literally, like, 4 Marines and 1 Hellion. Like, it's like, it seems like such a small force, but it's super meta, where he's hoping the opponent is out on the map with the Adept, which is actually the case here. And look at this. He's gonna catch a Stalker, and the Shield Battery actually says no.
Yeah.
You're not gonna kill that.
Yeah, that was a really great defensive position there by Gerald, dropping the pylon really fast, getting that Stalker just within range of that Shield Battery. And now Spirit has to march back home. I don't think he lost anything off of that. He lost a Marine, like, so that's not a huge. Oh, that would actually be different. But what are we gonna get out of this?
He's sitting in the main. He sneaked in.
Oh, what?
He's in.
How did he manage that? 1 Adept gets in. It's not going to be critical damage, but it is still something that Spirit has to deal with for sure. The Adept's not going to be able to escape at this point. But did the Adept get any kills? No. So it actually reasonably dealt with here by Spirit.
Maybe he meant to let him in. You're locked in here with me. Rid of him. eBay starting at the expo, and the other side, the Widowman dropped. But he did not get anything yet. No, there it is. First detonation, second one immediately after. Only 2 probes.
Yeah, this has been a I mean, both sides doing a really good job of mitigating as much damage as possible. I mean, that's 4 probe kills, so it's more than probably Gerald was hoping. But I mean, even still, dealing with damage in both locations, pretty well handled.
I want to see more Dark Shrines. We haven't been seeing enough Dark Shrines. I know Rotty always jokes that, you know, I love Dark Shrines too much and making Dark Templars and stuff, but I think it would be cool to see some harassment with the Prism, you know, a couple DTs here and there. Great way to steal a game. You don't deserve to win. Not that these players need any of that. Particularly Gerald after game 1. And he's actually going to blink in, just get a depot, and then should be forced out. I don't think he can get much more done.
Yeah, the tank's going to have to get sieged up before this is really going to be pushed away, but Gerald's decided he wants to stay aggressive on this for sure, taking the opportunity to pick off as many of these Marines as he possibly can. I mean, those are the bravest Stalkers I've ever seen. They just kind of hung out there, but that was a lot of Marines picked off there. 7 in total for 2 Stalkers. That's a pretty decent exchange.
Yeah, a bit sloppy here with the blink back micro from Gerald. I think he was being a little greedy. But charge already on the way. This time we don't have a 6-minute 4th Nexus just yet. And he actually saturated the assimilators on his expansion like pretty early. So he's going to go into more gas-heavy tech here with the Colossus. In which case it's better to wait until your 3rd base is like somewhat fully saturated. We see 15 mineral probes right now, and then maybe after that you can start saturating the... taking the extra base, the 4th base. But first, it's better to play it safe and add a few more gates. Because you see, he was only on 3 gates up until now. So now he sees that the Terran, you know, took the 3rd base and he's got a bunch of bio tanks. You have to really respect the potential attack coming your way. You don't want to get like another Nexus and then get attacked and then you just die.
I'm actually a little surprised that the 4th base didn't come down after seeing this 3rd base getting secured. I mean, not that that's going to be a critical error on Gerald's part, but I think it could have been an opportunity to double down. Actually, there it goes. So yeah, I think this is the right choice. This is an opportunity just to expand that macro, and both players are just okay buckling in for a longer form game once again.
I gotta say, the observer positioning is very interesting. Can you check the vision of Gerald? He has 1 near the main base that somewhat sees the 3rd, and 1 on the right-hand side. I think that's to see movement towards what will be a drop in Gerald's main base. This one observer at the bottom. He also wants to see the timing on that 4th base. ideally, like instantly when that finally happens. And he's keeping his units on the other side. So in terms of vision, he's really covered, even though it's only 2 observers technically.
Working with what he got at this point, keeping those 4 stalkers out on the map has been really very advantageous. It's caused him a lot of opportunity to get caught up on his probe count, because he is dead even on the probe count right now with Spirit, but it has come at the lack of army. I mean, that's only now starting to populate at this point, additional stalkers being warped in. I think we're what, 2 Colossi? Yeah, 2 Colossi. I mean, this army isn't overwhelming by any stretch, and Spirit's at a point where he's got 75 army supply. He's going to be able to start moving out, and now Gerald should see this. Yeah, immediately going to warp in 7 Zealots. He needs to start populating this army as much as he can, because Spirit's ready to start taking some map control.
Interesting. After the 3 Colossi, he goes for 1 Disruptor, but cues a Prism behind. So Gerald, I loved the way he was warping in across the map very early in the previous game and played aggro. I wonder if this is to reinforce with his army that he's going to move out with, or if it's to perhaps send towards the main base here for a big warp in of Christmas Zealots, you know, rushing for those SCVs over there to try and create some chaos.
I'm actually a little surprised. I was thinking that Spirit was ready to go, and he had every indication that he was going to start pushing out, but Gerald now has the economic advantage at least to get things back in, so slowly starting to pull that back. And there's a lot of Zealots here. This could be a good moment. How many tanks do we have over here? Just okay, we got 2, so there's enough tank coverage to at least make those Zealots pay, but this is still a pretty decent army here. 3 Colossus would be enough to try and tear through this bio force, especially if Gerald can get a decent position, because there aren't any Vikings, or there's 1 Viking in this mix right now. That's not going to be near enough to really harass those Colossi back.
Maybe Gerald can tell that there is no ghost yet, or at least not many of them. He's actually going to go for it. But then kind of chickens out when he sees that how much bio there is. He wasn't quite reinforcing inside of the fights. Disruptor is going to get chased and actually sniped. Perhaps he shouldn't have gone for it. Not sure.
Well, I think he wants to do more with the Disruptors. He is picking up Gravitic Drive for his Warp Prism. That's going to give him a lot more angles to zip in and out with.
He's going to go around the bottom. There is a Viking on the left-hand side. He couldn't have gone through the left-hand side. He might go around entirely around the bottom and into the natural or even main base. That would be amazing. Because that's not covered at all by any turrets, Viking, or sensor tower. But that Prism, I'm getting goosebumps, Rushy.
Just like ripping in there. But it doesn't have a whole lot. And Gerald's not really like pressuring this up at the front. So okay, now he is going to try and rotate out to that 4th base location. There are some bio units in the natural, creating some problems. But Gerald unable to capitalize on it. So now we do have that Warp Prism. It's just kind of sitting there. Gerald! Oh, he's going to zip out. Oh, but he's going to fly it to its doom. Runs it into the Viking.
Oh no, the Viking! Oh my god, this is the most underwhelming Prism. I hyped it up so much, like it had crazy potential. Literally got dumpstered right out the gates.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. This little drop here is going to find some decent damage. It kind of splits Gerald up at least a little bit. And now Spirit, maxed out here on his supply, needs to find some additional damage, and he is going to look for it here on the left-hand side. But the Disruptors in great enough numbers to try and create some damage. And at least they do push things back. But Spirit's going to start moving into harassment mode here as medevacs on both sides.
Ooh, this might get intercepted. He needs to scan first. Never send in medevacs like this on their own without knowing what's in there. It would be a terrible mistake. It's like in horror movies, you know, like the people that go like into a dark cave or something. And it's like, come on, like, don't do that, guys. Everybody can tell this is a bad idea.
Oh yeah, there you go. It is. Good scan.
See, he would do well in a horror movie. He'd be the guy that survived.
He's the one guy in the group of friends right before they're like, oh, come on, don't be chicken. And he's like, if you want to die, you can die on your own. And he leaves right before it all goes belly up. I think I've seen that movie.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, Tempest here going to be helpful. I mean, this is going to be imperative just to try and break through Spirit's defenses as well. But 9 workers have come off the head here. This drop has done a decent amount of damage. It's canceled that additional base once again. But Gerald's starting to run out of firepower here up in the main base. That's going to leave the fleet beacon exposed. But some warping should help with that.
A Spirit engaged in the center somehow and actually bruised and EMP'd some of those disruptors, but they didn't go down. That's the big thing. But there's a lot of disruptors actually left over. He's on 6 and now building up a Tempest count to perhaps start sieging properly with in a few moments. They're also going to help out tremendously against the Liberators of Spirit, who just got advanced ballistics and who's supposed to start adding them, but there is none on the field just yet. It's more focused on getting Vikings out.
I mean, Spirit's also been really focused on these drops. 19 workers have gone down. It's just been every which way on the map. So much happening in the natural, in the third base, the fourth base. And Gerald has been able to take advantage of it. I mean, he's just been building a lot of units as a response, so I don't think it has been a terrible thing for him. But, I mean, that can only go on for so long. It's got to be careful here. Some snipes coming down on this ground army as the Colossi start working their way forward. Finally, the Stalkers are going to be able to pick off that harassment piece on the left, so that is going to go well for him. But Gerald now has to start figuring out his upgrade situation. He's only at 2-1 right now and needs to start finding a way to maximize that, as his opponent is also doing the same, getting +3 infantry weapons at this time.
Gerald needs to try and outmaneuver Spirit around the map, ideally, which is very dangerous, because if you get EMP too badly, everything's going to fall very rapidly. He sends Zealots to the left. Maybe to attack there. Yeah, he's going to do a 2-pronged attack, but the army on the right-hand side is very exposed on its own. He's mobile enough to pull out of there with that one probe carrying gas somewhere in there. And Zealots start streaming into that left-hand side base. How much damage can they do? Tank's actually doing a fantastic job, doing a ton of damage and buying time while the bio gets back in position. Purification Novas on the right-hand side are avoided. Spirit with a great defensive posture, getting some really, really good trade, but Gerald is just kind of getting rid of the useless supply of Zealots here that he can replace with Harriers, High Templars. And actually, this Archon in the main base of Gerald, I think, was stuck when there was minerals there, but now that this is mined out, you're free! Get out of there!
Oh, how did he even get there to begin with? Irrelevant.
Maybe recalled or something.
Oh, that could be. Todd, do you like nukes?
Yes.
We got nukes on the way.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen the Arthos' video of the nuke, by the way?
Oh, there's more than one?
Yeah, no, yeah, there is one where he's like, this is going to be the greatest nuke ever. And then he keeps typing it. He's like, I'm getting some goosebumps. And then suddenly somebody scans and the ghosts die. And then he screams, no! And then the video cuts. I'll link it to you after. It's so funny.
Yeah, I need to see it. It sounds familiar, but... Oh. I mean, we are going to get our first nuke here. This ghost doesn't have a whole lot of energy, so it's not going to stay hidden for very long. But it could be just enough. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no observer? No, there is.
Yeah, the ghost ran out of energy, so that's not going to be critical. But that would have been a scary moment. A lot of the army was kind of choked up at that base and could have been devastating. But we are in the 16-minute mark. Both players effectively maxed out. Gerald does have a decent bank here, and he has a wild amount of bases, which is going to work out well for him in the long run. It kind of feels like we've had a lot of back and forth, but right now Spirit definitely is the player that has to be in the driver's seat if he wants to start making some things happen. And I can guess that the nukes are his ticket into that door.
Yeah, they're both building up towards the super late game. In terms of actual starports, we have only 3 for now for Spirit. Wouldn't be surprised if he started adding more, but for now he's focused on getting a lot of upgrades and an additional Ghost Academy. So nukes might start flying everywhere, and Gerald's getting ready. Some cannons on every base, some High Templars. Drop on the left-hand side. That's really like one of the weak spots of Gerald here that keeps getting dropped, where probes die all the time. Nuke into the expansion. Oh my god, this Archon made it out of one prison, but got stuck in another into the expansion. Can't move out of there. He gets nuked.
Got a little bit of damage done. Picked up a building or two, and softened a lot of units there. 19 probes did end up going down on the left-hand side here. Just a relentless amount of damage across the map. But once again, I mean, both players just continuing to stay maxed out. It's 58 to 70 workers. I don't know if Gerald wants to go too much lower than that, but Spirit getting some additional damage here with this Ghost is the remaining energy that it has.
Yeah, Spirit with some fantastic army value here with all of these ghosts. Always sieging very well, both with Liberators and tanks. Viking is getting a little overeager here with the carriers. He needs 2 EMP. Archon's getting on top of the ghosts. Spirit not being careful for a second. This is going to get cleaned up. And this is a very expensive and difficult army to replace there for him.
Oh, that was just obliterated. I mean, he just kind of came in from behind and made it just disappear completely. So now all of a sudden, Gerald has a ton of resources at his disposal.
He's nuking his own main.
Wait a minute. Oh
my god, he just nuked his main and then cancelled it. He was nuking the ramp. He must have misclicked. Oh my goodness.
Or else it was like the biggest brain play. He thought that the Protoss army was just going to walk straight into the main, but like, wow, that's an extra level of thinking that I don't even think I'm capable of handling here. There are enough Vikings here to start working away on the carrier count, but they are still focused right now on the interceptor count, and they are starting to make a dent in the display here, but the planetary fortress is allowed to stand right now. Gerald still working his way through all of these units, but now it's just 2 Colossi and 3 carriers left behind. Where are the supporting units?
This game is getting crazy here. They're really brawling. There's not been really any downtime. Both players just keep on fighting non-stop. So many workers have fallen, honestly. Like, Spirit killed 52 probes. Gerald killed 22 SCVs. But Gerald's starting to build up a very healthy supply lead here. And he has more bases that he's mining from. I think Spirit doesn't have much of a choice. He can just sit back and hope that Gerald somehow overextends. There's not much else he can do. Like, of course, he will try to drop here and there where he can, but can't expect to be able to do much with those against Whoppins.
I mean, there's 6 disruptor shots that could have maybe worked away at that planetary fortress, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, overextending is going to be the problem here for Gerald if he's not careful. So every scan that goes down onto his army, he has to respect it. He can't protect himself at this point, as these units are incredibly valuable. But look, he's got no production. Like, what happened to his production? He's not doing anything right now. And he has the bank, but 182 supply, he could still be doing additional work here. Oh, great grab on a few of those SCVs. Look at the Viking count here, 16 in total. This is a carrier hunting machine.
I'm actually surprised to see no stalkers at all here. He's just relying entirely on, what I want to call basically a tier 3 army. His army is purely carriers, Tempest, Archons, and Disruptors, and High Templars. That's it. There's not a single proper gateway brawl unit like a Zealot or Stalker in this army. That's a lot of Archons, by the way. You need so many ghosts to deal with this, and he does have 8. Oh, the Vikings! He's not paying attention to Spirits! Oh my goodness.
It was such a big storm that went on over the majority of that army set here, and now Gerald in a really good position here in the bottom right. He's got a great concave. Although he is trying to get a lot onto this planetary fortress, I think he should have just enough DPS to slip this out. He does. The workers are going to have to get pulled back and away. There is a Bioforce trying to contain this army, but right now there isn't a whole lot really to engage this. Couple of disruptor shots, not going to connect with a giant chunk of the army, but maybe just enough. Here come the Archons with their splash damage as well. Stalkers come in from behind, and I think Gerald has finally bullied his opponent down. GG is called, and the Protoss player